Philip Gradala said, the true history of the United States is the history of transportation.
The Junior Leagues of New York State present the story of transportation in New York State. Transportation, a word containing 14 letters and 1,000 ideas. A word of 4 syllables and 1,000,000 dreams. A word made up of 100 sounds. How do you pronounce transportation? That's one way. Transportation is a boat whistle on a foggy river. Its echoes resounding from the mountainsides, rolling around in the mist and becoming lost in a promise. Transportation is the sound of a plane, 1,000 winged horses pulling man's chariot across the night sky. Their hearts steel cylinders, their blood high octane. This too is a sound of transportation, a sound of man's contempt for distance. Where are you now, diesel train? Where will you be tomorrow? Where were you yesterday? For the world, yesterday is an eternity. For us, it's a memory. But for today, let us pretend that yesterday began in the year 1807. The American Revolution had been fought and won. People of New York had helped win it. A new country called the United States of America appeared in the Western Hemisphere, and New York was one of the states. And in the year 1807, another revolution took place in this new country, a revolution in transportation. It's ridiculous.
I can tell you right now it won't work.
A boat being run by steam.
It would cost too much.
Oh, they never pay for themselves.
It's impossible.
It's fantastic.
About how many years would you say that was, Jameson?
Oh, round 2.
Did you laugh?
I'm afraid I did. But after all, can you blame me? Did it ever seem possible to you that someday we would be riding on a boat run by steam?
No, I suppose not. You know, Jameson, we're pretty lucky. Here it is the year 1809, and look at us, sailing happily up the Hudson River on a boat driven by steam. We left New York at 9 o'clock this morning, and by noon tomorrow, we'll be in Albany. You know what that means, Jameson. We will have covered 150 miles in a little over a day. 5 years ago, it would have taken us nearly a week.
And tomorrow or the next year?
Who knows? Maybe half a day. Maybe a few hours.
Oh, come now. Don't try to improve on Robert Fulton. When he built the Claremont, he proved to the world that he knew steamboats. All you know is the importing business. Besides, I don't really trust these things. You know, one blew up last week.
I just think you don't like boats.
I'll grant you I don't. They make good time, but I prefer terra firma. Boats may be all right for carrying freight, but not people.
Mm-hmm. Jameson, I just had an idea.
Steamboat that runs on land, I suppose?
Oh, no, nothing as drastic as that. Jameson, you know a stagecoach pulled by 6 strong horses could average at least 10 miles an hour. Now, if we could run a stagecoach from New York to Albany, why, we could cover the distance in,
I see. Over Indian trails, no doubt.
No, roads.
And where are you going to get these roads?
Build them.
Really, Carter, don't be absurd. Who's going to build these roads? Certainly not New York State. We can't afford it. Besides, the Hudson River and Fulton's new steamboats afford all the transportation we need.
But I wasn't thinking of just the Hudson River. What happens above the Hudson? Jason, settlers are heading west in New York State. They're going to need merchandise. They're going to need equipment. But most of all, they're going to need a way in which these things can be brought to them. Where there are no waterways, there must be roads.
Very nice and very noble. But the state cannot afford to build these wonderful roads.
Perhaps the state can't, but Carter and Sons Limited can. All the state has to do is say yes, and once they do, we bid.
So you build. How do you get your money back?
Did you ever hear of a toll gate? Every 10 miles or so, we'll set up a gate and charge a fee for the use of the road. The more travelers, the more money. It's very simple.
Yeah, very simple. Carter, sometimes I think I see genius in you. Remind me, Carter, when we land at Albany to offer a toast to you.
A toast to me? No, better make it a toast to the turnpike.
A turnpike. Roads built by people, roads extending out beyond the cities. A swift, sure means of transportation. An easy way of bringing things to people and people to things. The center of the turnpike system was Albany. Ships came up the Hudson River to Albany and unloaded their cargo. And in return, they carried back products that came from the north and the east and the west. Now, one of the most important developments that the turnpikes brought about was the opening of the West to large groups of settlers. From all over the East, they came to the fertile lands of the western valleys. They came by cart and some on horseback, and some in covered wagons, and some with all their possessions in huge contrivances drawn by mules. But many rode in the new speed marvel of the age, the stagecoach.
Peter, how fast are we going?
I don't know. I couldn't say.
I wish you wouldn't go so fast. I've never gone this fast before.
I did once. A team ran away with me in the wagon.
Oh, dear. I hope that doesn't happen to us.
Don't worry, it won't. These drivers know their business. Besides, the wonderful thing about stagecoaches is their speed and the comfort.
Did you say comfort?
Well, you have to expect a few bumps now and then.
Peter, we've stopped. I wonder why. You think it could be Indians? Uncle Jed says that...
Don't listen to what Uncle Jed says. You know what a liar he is.
Now, Peter, don't you go calling Uncle Jed a liar.
All right, he's not a liar. If you just let me open the window so I could see what's going on up there.
Will you get those confounded cows off the highway?
Confounded, are they? They're a darn sight better than those mangy, flea-bitten mules you try to pass off as horses.
Now, looky here. Them horses are as fine as any you'll find anywhere, and I'm proud of them.
Of course you are. Every man's proud of his brothers.
Why, you listen, get those cattle off my highway.
But now it's your highway, is it? Why, I'd be obliged to Mr. President Adams. Pleasant chaps, aren't they? Wish I could see how big the herd is. Oh, here we go. Well, that's one trouble over.
Hope there aren't any more.
So do I. So do I.
Peter, how long has it been raining?
About 3 hours, I guess.
What time is it now?
7 o'clock.
Oh, good. We'll be stopping for the night in about 2 hours. Peter, I do wish that man across from us would stop snoring.
Don't begrudge the poor fellow a few things. You know, our sleeping accommodations won't be the finest in the world. You'll probably have to share your bed with some fat old lady on the next coach.
Fool.
Hello. Seem to have stopped.
Maybe we reached the inn.
No, we're nowhere near that yet. Let me open this window again and see what's going on.
See anything?
No,
Any more cows or anything?
no. Wait a minute. Here comes the coachman. Hello, what's up?
I'm awfully sorry, sir, but the coach seems to be mired.
What?
Mired, sir. Stuck in the mud.
Well, what are we to do?
Well, I'm afraid we'll have to push, miss.
Who, me?
You and the other 2 gentlemen in the coach, sir.
Well, if we must, we must. When do I put my shoulder to the wheel?
Well, we can't do that just yet, sir.
Why not?
the coach is too heavy as is. We'll have to unload the baggage first.
All of it?
All of it.
And so the stagecoaches came and went, carrying passengers and luggage, goods and equipment, the mails, newspapers, odds and ends. And the drivers were a haughty breed of men, equal to any occasion, and storing in their heads bits of information, local gossip, and a wealth of tall stories to entertain those lucky enough to sit up front alongside him. The next development in transportation was...
Would you mind if I stepped in here a minute? You see, you forgot all about me.
Have we? And who are you?
My name is Kevin O'Toole. I'm from County Mayo, or at least I was whilst I was alive.
Then you're a ghost.
Aye, that I am. The spirit of an Irishman who had a lot to do with this transportation business.
You had a lot to do with transportation?
I did have.
What did you have?
What did I have?
I got a mule and her name is Sal. 15 miles on the Erie Canal.
Aye, the Erie Canal. A big ditch dug by big men. We came from Cork and Killarney, Kilkenny and Kildare. We came with picks and shovels. We came to dig and drill. We came in the summer with the sweat running down our backs and the sun so hot that it could melt a banshee's wail. We dug in the winter and froze, the icy sod blunting our picks and our bones aching with the pain of winter. We sang while we dug, we laughed while we dug, and some of us died while we dug. There were times, lad, when we cut through solid rock. There were times when we pulled and strained, using our shovels like madmen, and sand slipping back as fast as we could dig it out. We fought mosquitoes, we fought bosses, we fought each other. But after the fight was over, we looked down and saw a big hole from Albany to Buffalo, 363 miles long. And we filled it up with water and called it the Erie Canal. And that big ditch busted the west wide open. And after it was over, we stayed. The men from Erin became men of America. And me and my mule Sal, we stayed along with him, pulling barges up and down the longest canal that man had ever made, from Albany to Buffalo on the Erie Canal. And that's what I had to do with your transportation story, and I thank you for letting me speak my mind.
We, of course, are very grateful to the ghost of Mr. Kevin O'Toole for his appearance on this program, and we thank him for his interesting talk on the Erie Canal. Across an expanding nation stretch thousands of tons of steel track. First in New York State, the steel roads were built by man, so that an iron horse with iron hooves could pull man that much quicker towards his goal. Who built the railroads?
We did.
You?
We, the people.
Why did you build it?
We needed one, so we built one.
It sounds simple.
What man can dream, he can accomplish.
What man can dream, he can accomplish.
And so they dreamt, these early Americans. Their dream became a plan, and the plan a reality. A vague idea took root and grew into a man-made miracle. They laid the tracks and drove in the spikes, and when the work was done, they stood waiting in fearful expectation for a sound as yet unheard.
All aboard!
A new sound, the sound made by the first railroad in New York State. In 1830 they built it, and they ran it in 1831. From Albany to Schenectady on a single track, it pulled 6 coaches and it pulled them back. It was a mighty endeavor, this Mohawk and Hudson Railroad. It scared the birds and frightened the horses. There were a lot of things wrong with it, but it ran. It ran, and they had their railroad. And it happened in New York State. Today, transportation covers the earth. From all over the world, travelers come on swift wings to America. And when the wheels touch the ground, it is New York State ground they touch. For Idlewild and LaGuardia Airports, centers of world transportation, are in your state. The Junior Leagues of New York State, in cooperation with the State Department of Education, have presented the story of transportation. This program was produced in the studios of WPTR Albany, New York.